Hello, we're on Live and Thrive. I've come to realize that it's always important to balance power and authority. Whereas authority is useless when not utilized, abuse of power will work against our goals. And you know why we are here? We are here to achieve goals and actualize purpose. So today, beyond power and authority, Tony is here again to talk to us about influence. So, Tony, we can't wait to hear you talk about influence. What is influence really?
Hello, folks. Always good to be here with you. Now, if you want to succeed in achieving your goals, we all know that other people are going to be involved. And definitely, there will come a time when you need them to do things, not necessarily against their wish, but you want them to do it willingly. And that's where influencing comes in. When you influence somebody, it means you are able to change the way they feel about something, their opinions. You are able to affect their behaviors, convincing them, especially where you do not have any formal authority over them. You're not going to be opportune to have formal authority over all the people you do things with. So you need this extra skill to be able to get them on your side. For example, imagine you want to set up a charity. Nobody's under any pressure or any compulsion to contribute to your charity. So you need to give them something that will tug their heartstrings and make them make that contribution. Or imagine you're in a negotiation where the other party seems to have more, is bargaining from a position of strength. You need influencing skills to get such people to agree to your negotiation end goals. So one of the powerful weapons of a good leader is the ability to influence others, because that is the way you get things done, especially where they are not your subordinates or your employees. I will also end by saying this. Influence unlocks doors that authority cannot.
Thank you so much. The art of influence must be very powerful and desirable. Imagine being able to, get people on your side without necessarily forcing them. So what are the principles that are behind it?
Well, a very ancient philosopher, Aristotle, wrote a book called Rhetorica, where he examined this concept of influencing people. Let me start by saying that when you influence people, you either persuade them, which is their emotional side, or you convince them, which is their logical side. So Aristotle was able to study this, and he came up with 3 dimensions of influencing. The first one is called ethos, where you use credibility, reliability as a tool for influencing. If people know that something is going to work well all the time, it tends to convince them to do what you want them to do. He also mentioned logos. Logos has to do with logical thinking, reasoning, and all that. If you present your case in a way that makes sense to them, they are likely to buy into it. And perhaps the most powerful of them all is pathos, which is the emotional strings. You know, when you get them emotionally, they are hooked and they will do almost what looks illogical at times. So let's drill a little bit deeper. If you present a case that makes them think they're avoiding pain, for example, that is using the elements of pathos, their emotion of avoiding pain, to make them want to do something else. Or you could offer them goodies something that shows them that they are going to have a very nice time or a happy time afterward. These are the ways you use emotional approaches in influencing and persuading people. You can, of course, use the logos. That is where we're talking about the head. You appeal to logic or reason. In this case, you probably give things like hard evidence as to why they should do what you want them to do. Give them the straight facts. Or you present statistics of, okay, if you do this, you have 95% chances of success. If you do that, you have 80% chance of success. That now begins to make them look at the option you are giving them, which has a higher percentage of success. Then, of course, the credibility part, which is also very crucial. People tend to respect people they hold in high esteem, or they hold credible, or people they think are ethical. If you look around, you find that people who are seen as usually religious leaders, for example, hold a lot of influence because they are perceived by the followers as ethical people. So that it's easy for them to tell those people, hey, we need to go right because this is the ethical way to go. And just because they trust the decision-making of that person, they will follow. So those are essentially the principles that Aristotle espoused. But you can't just use them. You have to use, like I always say, tools. Find the tools. So there are 4 basic tools that you can use in every situation. The first one is what I call telling. When you are telling, you are giving an explanation of how things are. This is viable usually when there's an emergency situation and you need people to agree to something very quickly. Perhaps the most powerful of them is what I call selling. When you are selling something, it means you are convincing them, you are giving them extra information, you are communicating advantages and everything to them in order for them to buy into the idea you're trying to sell. So this selling method, we're going to drill a whole lot deeper into it when we talk about marketing and selling in another video that we are making. Another way you convince people is actually to consult them. People feel the need to give respect when they're respected. So when you ask them for ideas, they feel, oh, this guy trusts me. And because of that, they have this natural inclination to pay back with that kind of trust. And the final tool, the 4th tool, is collaborating. People will always be happy when they feel they're in control of situations. So when you give them that steering wheel to hold, and you tell them, hey, you need to turn right now, and they're the ones turning the wheel, they feel a measure of control. And that way you can influence them as well. So those are the techniques that you can deploy in influencing.
Wow, amazing techniques and tools. So at the end of the day, it's all about inspiring people to make them believe in you and your products. So what do we stand to gain really from these techniques, these principles, the inspiring people and all that? What do we really stand to gain?
Okay, let's look at, don't forget that we are working with a big vision of living and thriving. And we also understand that for us to thrive, we need other people. So anything that enables you to get other people to be on your side, to work with you, to work for you, is always a step toward achieving that big goal and vision that you have. So these are some of the real benefits when you have good persuasive techniques. You build relationships easily. Because in influencing people, one of the key tools is that you build relationships. And clearly, it becomes easier, which is another advantage, for you to sell your ideas or your goods and services if that's what you're trying to do. Good persuasive techniques also enable us to increase our chances of succeeding in our negotiations. So every time we go into negotiation and we have good influencing skills, we might be able to leverage it to ensure that the outcomes of our negotiations are positive. I also enjoy you to check out the other videos we have on negotiation, where we would drill deeper into that skill. Well, let's also go on. If one of your goals is about career, for example, good influencing skills are very important when you are on a job or when you're working in a group, because you are able to leverage the power of other people around you to ensure that you do your job better than others. I just remember seeing an advert where there was a sort of a marketing environment, and any customer that walks in is always asking for a particular salesperson. They're just walking and say, hey, we need to see this person. So all the other salespeople were like, hey, why is this happening? It's because that person had built powerful influencing skills, was always able to get the customers to come back again and look specifically for her. So good skills in influencing is also good even when you're on a job. Don't forget that we're not all going to be business persons or have large organizations that we run. Some of us are going to work in organizations, and these influencing skills are still useful in being able to relate with other members. And perhaps most importantly, if you're able to influence, you can actually address the big problems that the world faces today. People have taken it upon themselves to fight climate change, for example. You can imagine how tough that is. Businesses stand to lose money if they try to reduce their energy footprints. So it takes a lot of work to convince them that they could actually be better off if they reduce their carbon footprints. So one of the powerful outcomes of being influential is being able to achieve things like this. I'll look at even the tremendous strides humanity has made in areas of color and gender and things like that. People had to use powerful influencing skills to do this, because the status quo, some people would have loved it the way it was. So it took a lot of persuading to get them to shift their opinions, and that's where influencing can be most effective.
Thank you very much, Tony, for taking us back to the big picture, because there's a big picture in mind. We have a reason, there's a big why we are doing what we are doing, that we are even here today. So all these techniques and principles help us to actualize our goals more easily. So how do we begin then? How do we start?
So there are several steps to take to learn how to be a better influencer. Usually, the first thing is to learn how to build networks. I'm sure you've heard that your net worth depends on your network. So the people you know somehow affects your level of achievement in life. So you have to consciously make network connections. That means improving your communication skills. Now, when you're also influencing people, you must be aware of the message you are propagating. You must prepare yourself, gather the facts, and you have to be able to present information to people in such a way that they can understand it. So that means you need to know who you are talking to. And again, your communication skills come into play. which you can see in another video of ours. If the issue at stake is an emotional one, the person you're trying to influence must be able to sort of like catch that fever from you. You must show conviction in your ideas. You can't dilly-dally. You have to have a measure of assertiveness in presenting your case. If he pushes a question at you and you start shaking around like you don't know what you're really doing, he's not likely to be influenced by whatever you're trying to push. And I always recommend listening, and listening some more. People get more easily persuaded when you listen to them because you will know their pain points much more quickly and you can address it because you understand.
So we know power can be abused and authority can be rendered useless if it's not utilized. Can influence be misused in any way?
Most certainly. Don't forget that everything, just like influence, is a tool, just like a knife. You can use a knife to cut and kill, or you can also use a knife to prepare a nice meal. In the same way, influencing can be used to manipulate people. And you understand that manipulation means you are getting people to do things that is not necessarily for their own good or even for your own good. An example would be a con artist who presents you with a nice story just to extort money out of you. Others will be people like dictators or cult leaders. These are people that manipulate others for their own personal gains, and it's often not a welcome development. And when you are also using influence, there are certain things you don't do. Don't apply pressure or coercion or aggression. Do not tell lies. Because if you do, the person may find out that you were able to convince them by using falsehood. And there goes your credibility. Also, using rewards as a means of influencing is not recommended. Imagine you tell somebody, I'll give you money if you come to my side. What that does is that it prevents you from being able to properly influence them because it means you might have to pay them the next time to get their support. What if they need more than you are ready to pay? So you are not going to be able to sustainably influence such people. Arrogance is also not good. So based on all this, I would advise that you go learn how to be an influential person because it takes practice. If you do it right, you'll be on your way to actualizing your dream. Remember, gentle persuasion succeeds where force fails. And I will also say this to you, always be conscious.
Awesome, awesome, awesome session today. You know, there's a song that comes to my mind that says, you can fool some people sometimes, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. So when you are thinking influence, let's think long term. Thank you so much for watching. I encourage you to watch our other videos. They are all connected and related somewhat. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Continue to live and thrive. Bye-bye.